Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello Miss Devi and hello everyone. We are from group 5 and the members are Eugenia, Romeo Semarabunawan and Salvia Khairunisa. Here we will talk about cultural context, gender roles, symbols of Marigolds by Eugenia Collier. The Crisis of Marigolds by Eugenia Collier is that Elizabeth, a 14-year-old African-American girl, doesn't know who she is. The conflict of the story involves Elizabeth trying to find out who she is while growing up in a poor Maryland society during the Great Depression. Not yet a woman, but more than just a child. Elizabeth spends time with the neighborhood children, causing innocent trouble and acting in childish ways. Some of the cultural contexts that can be seen in this text are poverty and the difficult and hard times that must be experienced by Elizabeth when she grew up in her hometown. Growing up in rural Maryland during the Great Depression, she describes her town as dust everywhere, dirt roads, ramshackle home-colored dull gray yard, and roads colored brown. But there is one vibrant spot color in the yard of Miss Lati, a brilliant patch of sunny yellow again the dust Miss Lati's marigold. The various emotions she has been grappling with mingle in his consciousness, a longing for her mother, whose work keeps her away from home, her anguish over the impoverishment of her family and community, and the fear she feels about her father's pain and uncertainty. Out of this mixture of emotions, she feels a sudden impulse toward destruction. Can conclude the theme presented in this story consists of the first, innocence. Innocence involves an unseen acceptance of things at face value, an ignorance of the area below the surface. Elizabeth learned that when she destroys the marigolds, she is no longer innocent. She was no longer an innocent child. She was growing up in the simple act of destroying Miss Lati's marigold. She learns about maturing and accepting responsibility for her action. The second, coming of age. I scrambled to my feet and just stood there and stared at her. And that was the moment when childhood faded and womanhood began. That violent, crazy act was the last act of childhood. Elizabeth had finally grew up enough to realize that her act of wiping out the marigold was wrong. She had become a woman in mind and in spirit. Her action had forced her to act and think like a woman. She was no longer a younger. And the third, compassion. In that humiliating woman, I look beyond myself and into the depths of another person. This was the beginning of compassion. When Elizabeth saw the look on Miss Lati's face, she realized what she did was wrong. She felt bad for Miss Lati. She showed compassion toward the poor woman. she proved that she could regret her actions because of the sadness that she felt toward Miss Lottie.
Elizabeth's mother, tiny in stature and soft in nature, is expected to take care of the family as a housewife, and the one who comforts her father in his time of weakness. Elizabeth's mother is in charge of providing for the family's needs, including cooking, cleaning, and take care of the children. Elizabeth's mother includes work and provides for the family, but her work powers her to be absent from the house well into the evening. While her father is depicted as a strong and traditional male figure and expected to work and provide for the family. Elizabeth is the protagonist of a short or text. Elizabeth reflects on how young children interpret gender roles in unique ways. She remembers how she and her friends used to play Marigolds, a game where they pretended to be mothers and fathers. Elizabeth was always drawn to playing the role of the father in their game of Marigolds because she found it more fun than being a mother. Elizabeth and her brother Joey experience contrasting expectations due to their gender. Elizabeth is assigned the responsibility of assisting her mother with domestic tasks, while Joey is granted the freedom to play outside. Miss Lottie is considered an outsider in the community because she defies traditional gender roles. She is unmarried and doesn't have children, which makes her different from other women in the community. Elizabeth's perception of Miss Lottie and Marigold change as she grows older, gaining a deeper understanding of compassion and empathy. She realized the importance and beauty of marigolds to Miss Lottie and regrets her own past action.
Marigolds serve as the central symbols of the story, representing hope, beauty, and the possibility of a better life in poverty and hardship. It also symbolizes innocence and foreshadowing to enhance the plot. The marigolds are important to Miss Lottie, who sees them as a source of love, hope, and beauty in her life. The flowers represent hope and freedom. Even with her difficult life, including poverty and raising her mentally handicapped son alone, Miss Lottie remains hopeful that one day life might get better. In addition, the marigolds stand for cruelty, resentment, and innovation and passion. When Elizabeth loses her innocence, realizes her mistake, and thinks she has become a woman at that precise moment, she destroys the marigolds. Elizabeth's destruction of Miss Lottie's marigolds represents her transition from childhood to adulthood, as she realized that her actions have consequences and that she must take responsibility for them. Recognizing this realization is an important step in her journey to adulthood. The story Marigolds by Eugenia Collier is set during the Great Depression and follows the journey of Elizabeth, a 14-year-old African-American girl, as she navigates her identity and growing up in a poor Maryland society. Elizabeth and the neighborhood children taunt Miss Lottie, an elderly woman who cares for marigolds, not realizing their significance to her. After overhearing her parents' struggles, Elizabeth destroys Miss Lottie's Marigolds out of anger and confusion. She later realizes the consequence of her actions and learns about compassion and responsibility. The story explores themes of innocence, coming of age, and gender roles. Marigolds symbolize hope, beauty, and the possibility of a better life, as well as cruelty and the transition from childhood to adulthood.
That's all for our presentation. If there's a lag, we apologize profusely. Hopefully, what we convey is useful for all of us. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.